Businesses are increasingly aware of the risks from cyber attacks, but too many of their employees still don't have the knowledge or even understanding of how high that risk is. The Insurance Bureau of Canada recently reported data that showed big gaps between the reality and the perception. Celyeste Power is Executive Vice President at the Insurance Bureau of Canada. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks, Amanda, for having me.
So obviously, this is a pretty big deal because we know we hear more and more of ransomware attacks, other kind of disruptions, business interruption, and there's a lot, I think we can say, that we don't hear about. What would you say is the level of awareness in Canada by business when it comes to this kind of threat?
So while the level of awareness is certainly growing, unfortunately, it is still quite low. Especially among small and medium-sized businesses. Understandably, they have fewer resources to focus on these sorts of things. So we are trying to get out there, IBC and the insurance industry, to raise awareness of the cybersecurity threats that are facing us and to promote ways to manage that risk, not only through insurance, but also through other risk mitigation protocols.
Which can be a hugely important part of reducing risk, right? We think about how we build our homes now and how fireproof they tend to be, so we don't need fire insurance in the same way as we once did. The ideal would be that we kind of proof our businesses against this kind of threat. But Celyeste, it's hard not to feel like that's really hard to do because there are so many bad actors out there. They come from countries that aren't particularly friendly to us in some cases, and they're very technically savvy. How hard is it to kind of protect a business against a cyber attack?
I think the critical step is that we need to stay one step ahead of cyber criminals. And so we need to make sure that we're doing all the updates to our cyber online environment that, just like you said, that we would do to a home. I think we're in a bit of a seatbelt moment right now, Amanda. Many years ago, we didn't need to wear seatbelts while driving vehicles, and we saw a lot of damage and a lot of lives lost to that. The insurance industry, governments pushed for seatbelts, and now, of course, we're all a lot safer. Very similarly, we're in that kind of point in time from a cyber perspective. We need to be increasing our cybersecurity protocols. We need to have longer passwords. We need to have multi-factor authentication. The industry wants to help in that push, and we recognize that a lot of small, medium-sized businesses don't have those resources to put towards it. So we have invested in those resources. We have a risk manager that small, medium-sized businesses can use to help them. Insurance agents and brokers also have resources in place, and we've launched a new campaign that can be found on cybersavvycanada.ca that has lots of tips, information, resources, and where you can find more to bring your business, to bring your cyber hygiene up to a level where it should be.
There is insurance coverage, of course. We don't have a ton of time, but does the insurance that businesses can get when they get it, because as I understand it, a lot of them don't actually have it yet, when they get it, does it cover the real cost of a bad ransomware or business interruption attack?
So the insurance market here is highly competitive. There's lots of different products out on the market. They all cover different parts. So really important, speak with your insurance representative to understand what kind of cyber coverage you need. It is an important tool in that cyber sort of risk toolkit, but it's not the only tool. And so do speak to your insurance representative about that, or you can call us at 1-844-2-ASK-IBC, and we can help you navigate and shop that market so you understand what coverage is available to you, what coverage you do receive, so then in the event of an unfortunate cyber attack, you know what you're covered for and what not.
Thanks for being with us, Celyeste. Appreciate your time.
No problem. Thanks so much.
Celyeste Power is Executive Vice President at the Insurance Bureau of Canada. Time for the takeaway and giveaways and cash grabs. In its recent fiscal update, the federal government included a plan to tax share buybacks at a rate of 2%. This is a brand new tax in Canada, though it has been introduced elsewhere recently, including the U.S. The idea is that when a company puts excess cash to work by buying its own stock, the feds will take a slice of that cash. Why will they do that? Well, because they can. In the same way we get taxed on the sale of a house, or the way we pay sales tax when we spend money we've already been taxed on, governments grab a piece of the action when you move money around. But is a buyback a good target? In her update, the finance minister said they hope this will encourage companies to use their cash and invest in their own businesses, higher wages, say, or new equipment, rather than just increasing the value of their stock, which is what a buyback does. Is that a good role for government? Most would say no, that the company itself is best suited to decide how it spends its money. But when it comes to buybacks, there is little doubt that something new is going on, and not in a good way. Buying its own shares once was a pretty simple exercise for a business. It was an indication that the management believed the stock to be undervalued by the market, so a bargain to buy. But the effect of it is to take shares off the market, so that with nothing else changing, the company's performance looks better. Profit per share, for instance, goes up, although profit has remained the same. It's a bit of sleight of hand that has turned into hundreds of billions of transactions that inflates the values of stocks. Meanwhile, a perfectly good way to return money to investors exists in the form of dividend payments, which does not have that effect. My takeaway? Few will argue that government has no business setting corporate strategy. But that doesn't mean that they don't have a case when it comes to stock buybacks. That's Taking Stock for this week. I'm Amanda Lang. Thanks for being with us.